Today we are talking data, and we welcome One Spatial to Directions Live Online, and they will be sharing innovative data wrangling use cases from across the globe. And we truly do have a global panel of presenters joining us today. Dialing in from the Washington DC metro area, we welcome Melissa Ubaldo, Solutions Engineer with One Spatial, who will be sharing innovative asset management from Caltrans. Joining us virtually from London, Senior Business Development Consultant Phil Ridley. So Phil will share his in-depth background working with law enforcement by discussing his work with UK Police. And from Melbourne, we are very pleased to welcome Country Manager for One Spatial, Andre Makika. In fact, I am going to hand across to Andre now so he can set the scene. So let's get started, and over to you, Andre.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you very much. Welcome one and all, and good morning for those on the western coast of Australia. Good afternoon for those on the east coast. As mentioned, my name is Andre Makika. I'm the Country Manager for One Spatial, and I'm welcoming you to our presentation, Streamlining Your Data for Informed Decision Making. Just as a bit of an introduction, we're going to now present just a quick 2-minute video on what One Spatial is about. I'll just take this opportunity to very quickly introduce you to the One Spatial Australia team. We have Andrew Bashfield, who is our Sales Manager. Simon Laird is our Services Lead. Emmy Yates is our Marketing Manager. Tom Farrington, Senior Consultant. Daniela White, Sales Assistant and looks after our training program. Priyantha Pelagama, Senior Consultant and Manager of our support. Sam McDonald, Senior Consultant, Michael Studdard, Sales Consultant, Ashish Mandahar, our Senior Consultant, and myself, Andre Makika. Just very quickly, One Spatial is a global company with offices all around the world. Our head office is in Cambridge, UK. We have offices in the US. We have offices in France, Belgium, Tunisia, and in Australia, we have our office in Melbourne and head office in Sydney. Our technology partners, Oracle, Esri, Safe Software, to name a few, and involved in a number of different key industries, as you can see. Who are we? We are a software solution provider and a global expert in managing location and geospatial data. We strive to make the world safer, smarter, and more sustainable for our futures. We help our customers to unlock the value of their data to create a smarter world. We deliver powerful data solutions and applications on-premise, mobile, and in the cloud. We are customer-centric. We deliver solutions that address our customers' needs and market requirements. And above all, we collaborate with people. Our solutions we will be talking about today is our One Spatial product range, and in particular, we'll be talking about the One Integrate for ArcGIS and One Data Gateway, as well as our FME range that we provide. What we'll be covering today is how the UK Police's innovative data quality management hub has enabled continuous data validation and cleansing, rapid decision making, and cross-agency interoperability, as well as we'll be hearing about the asset management solutions assisting the Californian Department of Transport, or Caltrans, to migrate their asset management data into a resource planning application. I'd like to now welcome Phil Ridley, the Senior Business Development Consultant. As indicated, he has recorded this presentation and will now hand over to Phil. Laura, did you want to start the video? Or?
If you could start the video on that one, that'd be great.
Okay. All righty.
Hello everybody, I'm sorry I can't join you in person for this conference, but I believe it is about 2:30 in the morning UK time whilst this presentation is going on. Melissa and Andre can answer any questions you have, and if you would like to follow up in more detail with anything, please don't hesitate to get in touch via the team. My name is Phil and I work in the government team over in the UK. And today I want to quickly talk to you about some of the policing solutions we've been running in the UK. So at One Spatial, we believe in making the world a smarter, safer and more sustainable place for everyone. We do this by ensuring our clients have complete, current and correct data, and we achieve this aspiration through the One Spatial technology platform. This is something that we have been doing for police forces and emergency services in the UK, as police forces are the frontline teams ensuring our communities remain safe. In the UK, we have the National Police Chiefs Council, which is a body of all the chief constables in the UK, and they got together to launch the digital strategy in 2020. And as part of that strategy, they identified data as a key enabler to move police forces into the digital age. We realised this is an opportunity to get their data into the best quality possible to ensure data really is acting as enablers to drive evidence-based decision making. Location data in policing in the UK makes up a key component of the POL data model. And the POL data model is all about linking your data sets to understand what happens where and when. So POL is based on persons, objects, locations and events. And I like to think of it a bit like playing a game of Cluedo. It was Colonel Mustard, who's the person, with the candlestick, which is the object, in the kitchen, which is the location, where a murder took place, which is the event. And after meeting various industry experts for our market research, we engaged with Avon and Somerset Police on a proof of concept to explore putting theory into practice with data quality automation. And the result of that was the Data Quality Hub, which we produced a prototype at the end of the POC. And the Police Data Quality Hub houses applications to resolve known data quality problems in police data sets, which are based on the rules and actions which Melissa will be talking you through straight after my bit now. The hub means police forces only need to pay for the apps that are relevant to them. And given the solution is no code, new apps can be produced rapidly to meet any new use cases for which an app hasn't already been developed. This means police forces from across different areas can reuse already developed apps as well as continue to innovate and adapt. And as the hub is based on a pay-per app licensing model, membership doesn't come with a large price tag. The main goal here is to build up a community where police forces and other emergency services are working together collaboratively to ensure everyone is using good quality location data for evidence-based decision making. And location is key here because after all, everything happens somewhere. So I've got a very quick video. I'm not going to go into details about how rules and actions work because Melissa will be talking to you about that in a minute. But this is the prototype dashboard of the data quality. So we have 3 use cases there. We've actually started the address data set, which is looking at unique property reference numbers. Now, unique property reference numbers are a key part of the data set because it allows officers to link together different data sets about properties. That could be crime data, it could be local authority data, tax data, all linking it back to that site. So the rules here are that we want every single record in the police data set to have the correct UPRN in the data. And it's looking up and checking that against the gazetteer, which is the authoritative data source. So we're running through the rules and actions now. And you'll see if we're running a check beforehand on about 1,000 features, only 23% had a valid UPRN. So we're going to run some data cleansing on that, which is running now, and then we're going to check how many records afterwards have got enough valid UPRNs, and you'll see that's gone up to about 73% of the data. And what we've done is any of the records in the police data set which we have changed, we've audited those in the data with a confidence level of how confident we are with the fix-up, and that depends on how easy it was to match it with the authoritative data set. And we've also produced automatically this report, which is a certificate of which data was run through the cleansing process at which time and which rules and actions it was put through. So you've got complete transparency of any changes that have been made to the data, and you've also now got good quality data set that's been automatically fixed up in a matter of seconds so you haven't had to fork out a huge hefty price tag to cover that. I'm coming near to the end of my very short slot, but if you want to look at any more information on the project, my colleagues on the call will be dropping into the chat some links to a project report and a more detailed webinar which is available on demand, so you can watch it at any time it's convenient for you. I'm sorry I can't join you for the live Q&A, but as I said earlier, please do follow up with Andrew or Andre, and I'll be more than happy to chat through anything in more detail. I believe my talk is now going to be followed by some poll questions, and all that's left for me to say is enjoy the rest of your conference. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I might actually kick off that first poll question. And the question is, are you aspiring to be a data-driven organisation?
So it's certainly something that I would expect that most people will be aspiring to that are attending this webinar. So we'll be interested to see the results from this poll.
Okay, I might close that off now. It looks like we've got everyone's had a go at that, so I'll just close that off, and then I will should be able to come through and share the results from that one. Can you see the results there, Andre?
No, I can't. It's obviously because I'm a tell me. Please tell me.
I will reveal to you that 91% of attendees today say yes, they are aspiring to be a data-driven organisation.
Excellent. That's a result that I'm a little bit surprised. I'm trying to work out what the 9% aren't. But anyway, well done. Thank you. And we'll go on to the next question, next poll.
Okay, sure. I'll pop that one up for you.
Which is a follow-on from that question. So most people are data-driven organisations. So the next question that follows from that is,
do you have a plan to ensure your data is complete, current and accurate to support your decision making? So I guess of the 91% who said yes, do they have a plan as yet?
Yes. Well, this will be a very interesting result, most definitely. So we'll from that, I would be surprised that most have not got a plan already in place. But for those that don't, hopefully this webinar is going to give them some ideas, and I'm quite sure between the organisations we are more than happy to provide answers for
Yeah, that's
people.
right. Yeah, and definitely questions, especially anyone who was thinking, no, they're not quite ready yet. That could be something that to have a question towards the end, we can discuss it a bit more. Looks like we've got a majority who have answered this one. So I'm going to close it off and then I will do the big reveal. So I'll share those now. And Andre, 50-50 exactly about having a
Okay.
plan.
That's interesting. So, well, that's good. That means that half the people are there and half the people are looking for answers. So hopefully, or not hopefully, I'm sure we will have some more information to provide to people.
Yes.
Okay. I would like to now welcome Melissa Ubaldo from the United States, our office in the US, where it is substantially colder than what we've got here in Australia. And we appreciate your time, Melissa, and I will hand you the ability to drive the PowerPoint and your presentation. Over to you and welcome.
All right. Thank you so much, Andre. So hello, everybody. My name is Melissa Ubaldo, and I'm a solutions engineer focusing on state and local government here in the US. So in the previous demonstration, Phil really discussed the value of using measurable evidence and pulling in a collaborative effort in building the One Spatial Police Location Data Quality Hub. And he was using the One Data Gateway product. So what I'd like to show you today is another application of an evidence-based approach when tackling master data management, this time using One Integrate, which is actually the rules engine operating under the hood of our One Data Gateway product. So this next use case touches on knowledge engineering in creating a repeatable and traceable workflow for data quality assessment and planning. Specifically, I'll be demonstrating how we at One Spatial are working with Caltrans, which is the state of California's Department of Transportation, to ensure high quality data standards are maintained throughout the entire process of integrating their data asset management. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, simply put, asset management is a process of tying multiple types of assets together to link and maximize their value in a cost-effective manner. What we're looking at here is a diagram based on what the US Federal Highway Administration has identified as challenges in implementing an asset management system. So I'll describe some examples. As you can imagine, a process like this requires the the involvement of multiple stakeholders. So when building a strategy, you definitely have to take into account conflicting priorities. And that really poses a too many cooks in the kitchen type scenario. This stems from the fact that there will be institutional differences as far as perspectives go. Depending on the list of objectives that have been assembled, there's definitely a challenge as well in measurement and in analyzing definitions and formats used to create metrics based on those objectives. So of all of these challenges that we're seeing here, we will take a look at how we at One Spatial are implementing a rules-based approach to integrate asset data. So just a bit of background on this project, the Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017 gave way to the investment of $54 billion over the next decade to fix roads, freeways, and bridges across the state of California. Caltrans then enacted an enterprise data and geospatial governance program to assess and quantify the quality of their data across assets that they maintain, such as pavements, bridges, culverts, and traffic. So part of this is putting together a transportation asset management system, or TAMS, to aid in project planning involving these assets. So it is with the TAMS project where Caltrans contracted with us and Gartner to build data quality management plans, or DQMP, for their assets. To validate individual systems and cross systems, our role was to facilitate business rule workshops with their subject matter experts, or their SMEs. These rules are then authored and run using One Integrate, which is the rules engine that I'll be demonstrating. So I'm going to go ahead and walk us through an example of a cross-system validation workflow within One Integrate. But before that, we do have another quick poll question that should be popping up on our feed.
I'll pop that one up now.
Thank you.
Okay. So the question is, are there other data formats that you require to be maintained synchronously with your geospatial databases? Yes, and if yes, add your data formats in the chat window. Let us know, and I'll share that with everybody. Or otherwise, maybe B, which is no.
I would honestly be surprised if people answered no. Just because, especially in this day and age, it's hard to not have something else apart from your geospatial databases that you rely other data sources from.
Exactly. Yeah, everything's connected. So Peter has commented and said from SAP and other internal systems.
Okay.
Makes sense. I'll just give everyone a little bit more time. Oh, we've got another comment come through from Daniel saying non-spatial enterprise, so SQL databases.
All right. Perfect.
Simon's come in and mentioned non-spatial Oracle databases, and thank you, Aaron, saying Postgres. And Robert has said JSON, GeoJSON. Warwick mentioned that as well. So GeoJSON and other feeds from the web. Robert's saying SOAP, there's so many data formats. Leonard has mentioned other inputs from generated GIS data. Absolutely.
Perfect. I'm liking these answers. I like this
Yeah.
mix of different sources. I'm surprised like people aren't saying maybe CAD or flat CSVs even. Yeah, the more diverse, the better.
Yeah. Well, I might show the results are quite outstanding. So I'll close this off now. Thanks everyone for responding to that, and I'll share the results. They should pop up now, but 83% said yes, and we had some great input from everybody. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for everybody who answered that. Okay, thank you. So I'm gonna go ahead and press play on this demo here. I'll go ahead and talk through what's going on. All right. So we are currently on ArcGIS Pro just to view sample data of assets similar to what Caltrans maintains. We're going to see here that we actually have bridge points. We have pavement condition lines indicating the roughness index rating. We also have culvert lines and road center lines. So to help us determine what business rules to write, we need to be aware of the context behind our data. How are these assets expected to relate to one another in terms of spatial and scalar relationships? So if you zoom in here, we're seeing that where a bridge point exists, pavement condition line breaks on the road exists. Pavement conditions are not being reported along the actual coverage of the bridge. So in terms of attribution, we also want to check that as well. So we should see here that our bridges have PR codes, which are unique route numbers, and they also have mile marker locations along the intersecting road. So if our bridge is located on a mile marker 17.84, all right, so 17.84, we expect that to fall within the begin and end mile marker range of a corresponding road. And then because we expect pavement condition line breaks at the bridges, we should see a gap in their begin and end mile ranges. So we're seeing here that 17.84 definitely fits between where one pavement condition ends and the other begins. Right, now we're going to take a look at the relationship between bridges and culverts. And what we're going to see here is that these features appear to be very close to one another, but they do not actually intersect. So the bridge attribute that we want to check here is the culvert rating. And when we check these bridges right here, we're going to see that both of these actually do. One has a culvert rating of 7, while the other has a culvert rating of 6. So we're saying that if a bridge has a culvert rating, we expect that within a certain distance, there should be a culvert to which that information actually pertains to. So again, it is based on these expectations where we base business rules off of. So let's now switch over to OneIntegrate, where we can watch the validation of our data in action. So this is the OneIntegrate rules engine. Right now, we are on the Sessions tab. A session is a series of tasks that make up a workflow within OneIntegrate. A session always starts by reading in our data. So right now, we are opening a sample for roads. We also have some for bridges, pavement, and culverts. So the session is shown on pause, so we just hit play to proceed with running the rules. So again, these rules are based off of expectations that we have in our data. Some are as basic as, do my features even have values for these attributes we want to use? If they do, are they matching up with other features that they should be related to in my data? Once the rule is finished running, we're given these instant results in the form of conformance rates. For this rule, we have 21.61 conformance. It gives us the actual number of where that rate is pulled from. So ideally, we do want 100% conformance for all of these rules. So obviously, when we don't see 100%, it means we have non-conformances. For all the non-conformances, we apply an action map where we say if a feature fails to rule, create a report on it. And it's this report layer that we want to export out. We're seeing we have 203 concurrences of non-conformances in our data. But before we have a look at these results, I want to go over the structure of this workflow by starting at the top. Any external source of data within OneIntegrate is referred to as a data store. And looking at the data store types here that OneIntegrate supports, we're seeing that the engine is data agnostic. So we can tie in Esri sources such as SDE and feature services with non-spatial database systems such as Oracle, SQL Server, and Postgres. Our culvert data is stored in a FileG database. On the input mapping tab, we see the contents of our file. We can even add cache classes for layers that we want to use, but is not present within the loaded dataset. So this is where we can choose to edit our schema mapping between source and target with the class name as well as its attributes. This is also where we set up our output details, choosing which classes we want to export and in what data format. So we're going to take a look at our rules tab next. So for the sample rule that I'm selecting, we're checking that a bridge has a matching road within a certain distance. To ensure that this rule is compatible with the data we're running it against, we use our data stores as a context to our rule writing. So we can definitely select as many data stores as we want. All right. So at this point, all we have to do is really pick and choose which classes from a drop-down menu we want, while filling in the blanks for relationships you want to check. The rule author is structured in such a way that you can select types of relationships, logical and, logical or, if then else, etc. And apart from checking that the geometries are within a certain distance of one another, we also want to check that their PR codes match. So notice what's happening here is that there's no hard coding involved at all. We are simply selecting attributes from the table that our data came in with. The third condition here checks that our bridge mile marker is within the road's mile marker range, begin and end. So next, we are going to look at our non-conformances this time, the report layer that we saw exported out. So we should be switching back to ArcGIS Pro. All right. So on the left here, you'll see that we brought in a report layer in this map and sorted them by rules violated. So we're going to start with some of my bookmarked non-conformances here. So over here, we have two bridges that failed our PR code check because we're saying that 0 is not a valid PR code. It's good to remember that PR codes are supposed to be unique numbers. So same with this bridge point right here, where with a post mile marker value of 0. For this example, while selecting this bridge has a mile marker of 0.329, which does not fall within the adjacent road's mile ranges. So the reason why this bridge here got flagged is because we're not seeing a break along the red pavement line, which is pretty obvious. But if we check the attributes, 4.971 is not even within any of the pavement's mile ranges. So what's interesting here, though, is that right here at the bottom, we are seeing that there's a break. So a quick attribute check of these pavement segments, it looks like the bridge's mile marker would fit here nicely. So in scenarios like this one, the next step would be to write a rule that proposes a new location for this bridge point. In this example, we're not seeing a pavement break here either. And just to verify that with the attributes, the pavement mile ranges are not gapped. Last example here, we have bridges failing a culvert cross-check rule. So let's verify that this bridge does have a culvert rating. Yep, it's got a culvert rating. And but within the parameters we set, we're saying that the culvert is not within our expected distance. So actually, let's take a look at how far apart these two features are. They're about 1,000 feet apart. So that's basically the process that we run through between knowing how our data looks like, how they should relate to each other, and how we can determine how to author that rule that actually fixes these data non-conformances. All right. So some of the advantages of using OneIntegrate is being able to validate spatial and non-spatial asset systems in a single workflow. Because OneIntegrate's rules engine runs on an object-oriented disk cache, the scalable performance allows it to handle large, complex asset databases. As a result, Caltrans was first of all able to get a better idea of where their asset data quality currently stands. But they also discovered that some of the rule nonconformances were due to issues with data governance, which definitely relates back to the diagram we saw at the beginning, where some challenges are brought about by institutional disparities. A more notable result here is that the TAMS project is effectively driving change in establishing the enterprise data and geospatial governance program. By using OneIntegrate, they can ensure that data governance policies provide repeatable and traceable outcomes. So this project is just one of the many that we have partnered with for customers in transportation here in the US. Some of these projects go beyond automated validation, integration, cleanup, and enhancements. We have experience in engineering automated data supply chains and tailoring them to spatial data infrastructures, both in existing and building one from scratch. Our website, onespatial.com, contains a lot of on-demand webinars, so please check them out if you'd like to see our work with the likes of the US Census Bureau and the U.S. Department of Transportation's Federal Highway Administration. So that's the end of my presentation. I'd like to hand it back to you, Andre.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. I'd like to just conclude by saying what OneSpatial services are. We sell, support and train. We are an FME Platinum partner, a premium MSP for FME Cloud. We have a dedicated support team for OneSpatial and FME desktop, server and cloud products. We have skilled FME certified staff globally for FME desktop, certified professionals and trainers. We provide product facilitation evaluation. We provide consultancy services. We have public and bespoke training services that are available, and I'd welcome you to go to our website to find out the timetables and make any inquiries there. And our technical support is always available through support@onespatial.com, or you can call through business hours 1300 290 686. I'd like to also highlight now that this brings to a close as far as the presentations are concerned. And if you want any more information, please contact us at sales.australia@onespatial and visit our website to find out a bit more about our products. I'd like to thank you very much for your time this afternoon. And I'll now hand it over to Laura to look after our questions that have come through.
Thanks, Andre. So if you have been eagerly watching the presentation and haven't popped your question in the panel, there's still time. So just the questions panel on your right-hand side, you can pop your question in there. And I'll just so we can see everybody, I'll just pop that up. And we've had a couple of questions that have come through already. The first one is, how flexible is the hub to adapting to variations in use cases? For example, if we need the data to be structured slightly differently in one state compared to another.
That's a really good question. I think that was referring to Phil's presentation for the Data Police Hub. So simply put, like when you purchase the software, we do provide some basic rule sets to get you sorted out. We also offer training programs as well as workshop sessions to help guide you in writing customized rules. And we definitely love to keep things collaborative, which is very similar with what Andre just mentioned earlier. You can definitely reach us out if you need us to. We also offer consultancy services to peer review rules that you write on your own. And then maybe do a tech transfer between us. So we love hearing about new customized ways and how our customers are interested in writing their rules.
Okay, great. A question from me, are there any licensing considerations for ArcGIS users that they need to be aware of? I saw obviously you're in Pro and using ArcGIS Enterprise, but is there any licensing or versions for the tools?
Is that more of a question about the limitations of versions?
Just what's the best version and who can use it? Just any considerations for the ArcGIS users on the call?
Oh, I see. So right now, man, we just updated it a few months ago, but I've already forgotten which versions. But I am currently running mine on 10.7. And what I can tell you is it doesn't really matter. Actually, it doesn't even, I know this is an Esri webinar, but whatever GIS application is available to you, it would definitely not be an issue.
Okay, so you don't need to have, if you're using, basic level ArcGIS, you can still get access to your tools. I guess that's what I was asking.
Yes, perfect.
That's correct. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
Okay. We've had another question that's come through from Peter asking, since you're trying to come up with these solutions that are repeatable, have there been any kind of blockers to the implementation?
Short answer to that is yes, because there have been a lot of different kinds of blockers to implementation. I would have to say though that the most common one is really in data governance. And it's like what I mentioned in my presentation, the too many cooks in the kitchen scenario is very common across different organizations, no matter what size. It's definitely challenging to agree on a single set of data quality standards, and then taking the next step of determining the process of maintaining them.
Okay, and we've just got one last question, and we're coming to the end of our slot as well. Question from John asking, instead of dragging and dropping data, can one data gateway be set up to automatically connect to my database, such as one sitting in ArcSDA Enterprise, PostGIS, or SQL Server?
Yes, absolutely. And as you saw in my demo, One Integrate is rules engine is data agnostic. So, and since One Integrate is the rules engine under the hood of One Data Gateway, all you have to do is set up the session to read in your data with the connection details that you specify. And then all you have to do at that point is to wire that session up to One Data Gateway. So that shouldn't be, that should definitely not be an issue. We are very flexible with the data formats that we work with.
Okay, thank you so much, Melissa. And we've come up to the end of our scheduled time. So thank you, everybody. Lots of participation in the polls and lots of great questions. And thanks, Melissa and Andre, for today. And also Phil, I'm sure he'll be listening to the recording. Thanks to him as well for all the efforts.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura, and thank you, Esri, for the opportunity.